What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost and waiting for AEW on TNT review New Year's Smash Night number 2 with two title matches. Pac versus Eddie Kingston, the Elite in quotation marks versus a team that nobody expected them to lose against, and a good bit more. And of course, we had the Waiting Room, which is a ratings killer in my opinion. I will have to say this, I did not watch the ratings room. I actually switched over to NXT, and I will have to say that NXT missed a golden opportunity to do something worthwhile, because while the waiting room was going on, they did an interview between Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa, which was fine, but they could have, I don't know, had something like a big angle or something go on. But I digress. We started the show off with Pac, who had with his Death Triangle partners, versus Eddie Kingston with the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. So this is a rivalry that's been going on for a good bit. Eddie Kingston made his AEW debut going up against, of course, Cody Rhodes. Pac has been gone for months because of the COVID-19 stuff, and him being stuck in the UK, couldn't get over to the United States. And in that time, Eddie Kingston brought the Lucha Bros and the Butcher the Blade together as a big family. Well, after the Lucha Bros had a one-on-one match in which Pentagon won, Eddie Kingston, of course, for a while was trying to break the Lucha Bros up and have Penta sever ties with Phoenix. Well, after this match, Pac comes back, he gets Death Triangle back together, and we have been feuding. These guys have been feuding ever since. And this is a big grudge match that Pac has been wanting for a while, and Eddie Kingston is just ready to bust this guy up. Before the match, we did get a little video package of Kingston telling Pac he's going to bust him up, and the Pac's going home and never coming back. Isn't that the same thing you said a couple months ago when you quote-unquote injured him to the point where he couldn't come back? I don't know, just kind of repeating yourself, aren't you, Kingston? So, this was a brutal match. These guys went out there and did not pull punches, that feels like. These guys were beating the piss out of each other. All in all, the match goes to Pac, who hits a DDT. Kingston tries with a DDT. Pac holds the rope and lands a low drop kick. Heads to the top rope, hits the Black Arrow, 1, 2, 3. After the match, he locks in the Brutalizer immediately. Blade and Butcher jump in the ring, but so do Penta and Phoenix. Lance Archer, along with Jake Roberts, run down and clears Kingston group out of the ring. He tells Pac he needs to get on the same page as him, then heads to the back, and Pac celebrates with his guys. Of course, Eddie Kingston, who did not lose that Battle Royal for the number 1 contendership that they gave to Lance Archer, has been poking the bear of Lance Archer for a good while here. So, yeah, that's why he's and Lance Archer is going to make him pay eventually. Miro with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford versus Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. Apparently, Chuck Taylor is now the Kentucky Gentleman. I've never heard that before. Maybe that's something down in the indies that people can tell me about. I have no fucking clue. Anyway, if Taylor loses his match, he has to beat Miro's butler and has to do what Miro asks of him until Sabian and Forbes' wedding on February 3rd. Taylor gets his first shot on Miro. Basically, this is a big brawl between each other, and it ends with Taylor getting tapped out after a couple of thrush kicks, then a accolade, or whatever the fuck they're calling it. I think they're calling it game over, and he taps out, so he has to be his butler for the next 3 weeks, which, oh boy, I wonder what he's going to have to be doing next week. See, this is the second episode of AEW of the year, right? If they really wanted to make this a big thing, they could have had the whole stipulation, the match be made from last week, because of course Brody Lee's celebration on the final episode of TV last year, you couldn't, any plans you would have had got pushed back. Maybe this was supposed to be the match you were going to have at New Year's Smash Night 2 on the 6th of January before the whole Brody Lee thing happened, but everything got pushed back, so Yeah, it's like the wedding's on the 3rd of February, so that's not that far away. So it's not going to be that long, but yeah, he has to be his butler. After the match, he's pulling him. Orange Cassidy standing in the ring, realizing that he can't do anything. The stipulation was a stipulation, and as Jericho and others have mentioned, when AEW makes a stipulation, they stick to it. That's why Cody Rhodes will never challenge for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and why Chucky Taylor has to be Miro's butler for the next few weeks. Backstage, Dasha talks to Private Party about how they signed with Matt Hardy, and their manager Hardy jumps in and says, "Things are great now that these guys are part of Hardy brand." Private Party tried to be positive, but Quinn says he can't do this and still bother Hardy is making 30% on them. Hardy tells them they should have read the fine print. Quinn calls him a money grabbing carny. Hardy says when they first got here, nobody cared about them, but he did, even though they've been in AEW for well over a year, while you just made your debut in March of last year. So come on, Hardy. But he did, and then ultimately when he says jump, they say how high, and ends the interview. The tension between Hardy and Private Party is getting there. Obviously, Matt Hardy is going to be turning on them eventually, and where it goes from there, I don't know. Inner Circle heads the ring for the New Year's resolutions. It's going to be a huge year for the group. Hager says championships are a big goal this year. MJF says he just wants to strengthen his bonds with the other members. And also, fat people, they gotta go. I mean, we could all agree with that, right? And Sammy's like, yeah, they gotta. Jericho says this will be the year that he and MJF will win the World Tag Team title. Santana jumps in and says you handpicked us, Santana and Ortiz, to be in this group, to be the tag team of the Inner Circle. Before we can finish, Sammy Guevara says, wait a minute. No, hold on, Santana. Jericho, you're just a tag team slut. Whoa, what the fuck? What's up with Jericho teaming with a bunch of different people? MJF says Jericho's just trying to do his job. Guevara tells him to shut up. Hager tells Guevara that MJF is cool and calms him down. Jericho says, like Hager and Wardlow did last week, maybe we should blow off some steam by bragging rights and decide who is the official tag team of the Inner Circle. Next week, it'll be MJF and Jericho versus Santana and Ortiz versus Sammy Hagar. If you can't get that joke, then I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. MJF says they are still the Inner Circle and nobody can break them apart. They are better than us and you know it. So, backstage, Malik Vez, okay, before we get to that. This obviously, I give the Inner Circle maybe 6 months before they're gone, they're done, it's over with. I mean, it's quite obviously that the tension is getting there. The cracks are starting to form, and this is all going to be divided. Next week could be something bad that happens for these guys. Maybe Sammy Guevara looks like he has the win or something, and something's going to happen next week to continue those cracks. And the cracks are just going to keep going until MJF destroys them from the inside. And he's going to gloat about it when it's done and over with. So, Alex Marquez is backstage with the Dark Order and wonders what's next for the group after losing their leader. Evil says they have to do better people and do everything in Lee's name. He says next week Hangman Page will be teaming with the Dark Order. The group pulls Page in and wants to talk to him. They ask Page if he's going to decide if he's the group or not. Silver says next week after the match is a good time. Page agrees that when he'll let the group know. Silver finally expects Page to join the group. Yambo's on as Page just stands a few feet away and continues enjoying his drink. Which, there's a reason for them teaming up next week, because next week is -1's birthday. The 8-year-old is turning 9, and God, that just makes everything happen at the end of the year last year just even more painstaking. The fact that this little man's birthday is less than a month later than when his father passed away. That's gotta suck. Man, I just can't even I can't understand. I don't think anybody's gonna know what that kid's going through and what he's gonna go through probably for the next year or so without his father being there. We're going to have AEW Awards on January 27th at 7 p.m. BR Live app, hosted by Tony Schiavone. Yes, that is, I believe, a Wednesday. So the hour before they go on live on TNT, turn on the BR Live app and watch the AEW Awards. Who's going to be rest of the year? I vote Jon Moxley. Match of the year: Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. WTF moment of the year: Omega turning heel by screwing Jon Moxley out of the AEW Championship. That's what I'm going with. We get a recap of Allen's feud with Team Taz, and then we go backstage. Dash catches up with Don Callis and the Young Bucks. Callis says it's fantastic that the band is back together. Omega asks if they want to do the Elite entrance. Callis says the Young Bucks should get their own entrance and they should head out on their own. Omega goes along with that and heads out to the entrance. Callis and Omega come out. Callis gets the microphone and says, "Justin, you got the night off. This is history in the making. The band is back together, and it's time to introduce your World Tag Team Champions and Kenny Omega's best friends, the Good Brothers." And the boos just get louder and louder. Backstage, Dasha stands with the Young Bucks and AEW President Tony Khan as they watch the monitor. The Young Bucks look annoyed and walk off. The trio immediately attack Omega as we have the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega taking on the Varsity Blondes and Danny Limelight. Now, obviously, the winners of this match are the Tag Team Champions and Kenny Omega. Duh. Obviously. No doubt about it. But this just shows you how much AEW feels about the Varsity Blondes and Danny Limelight. This was no squash match by any stretch of the imagination. These three guys got a lot of work in on the Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, and Kenny Omega. They could have picked anybody. They could have picked three members of the Dark Order. They could have picked Ryzen, Serpentico, and Luther to take on these three guys. They chose the Varsity Blondes and Danny Limelight. That should just show to those three men, and I hope when this match, because this match was taped last Thursday, I just hope that these guys, when this match was over, and they were going back to the hotel room, is like, wow, the company could have picked anybody. They could have picked any three scrubs. They could have gone with Private Party and Matt Hardy if they wanted to, but they gave me, Danny Limelight, Griff Garrison, and Brian Pillman Jr. the spotlight against the World Heavyweight Champion and the Impact Tag Team Champions. That says a lot, and I'm glad to see that. And again, this was no squash match. This was a 2-segment match. This wasn't one of those matches where it's like, oh, it's three scrubs that the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega are going to let them have a little bit of licks in, and then they're going to hit the Magic Killer and get the win. No. Yes, that's how the match ended, with the Magic Killer onto Danny Limelight. But again, Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., and Danny Limelight actually controlled the beginning of this match. This wasn't one of those things where it's like, well, the former Bullet Club members go out there and they beat the hell out of them, and that's that. No. Danny Limelight, and they got a good bit of shine in this match, and I absolutely love the fact that happened. It just shows that maybe AEW has something for these three guys. I mean, yeah, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., they got a couple wins last year. Danny Limelight got a win, I believe, last week on Dark against, I think it was Fuego del Sol. But yeah, again, the match close was as you thought it would at the end, with Dynamite getting tacked in. He eats some shots, takes a spine buster. Gallows hit the Magic Killer, 1, 2, 3, and that was that. After the match, Jon Moxley's music hits. He comes out. He's like, 3, 1, I don't give a shit. He pretty much is like, he's like, I don't care. Walks in there, runs in there, and attacks all three men. Then, surprisingly, the Lucha Bros come out. Why? Maybe because of what happened last week with Phoenix getting beat down, or starting to get beat down last week. So they even the odds. Out comes the locker room to try and empty to help separate the two sides. The Bucks run out to tell Moxley to ease up and try to take some sense into him. Phoenix and Penta hop the ring from behind, super kick the Young Bucks, taking them out. Good shit there. So everybody is like back to brawling. The Kenny Omega and Callis are leaving the scene, and that was that. So I liked, compared to what happened last week with the Good Brothers just showing up, this was better. I liked the way they did this with the match. Again, giving 3 young guys, up-and-coming guys, a rub by going in there and facing 3 champions. And having, not a squash match, but an actual fight to the finish. And only losing, in my opinion, because of inexperience. Ted Moxley coming out, evening the odds with the Lucha Bros and everything as they came out to help him. And the big PS6 brawl. This was much better than what they did last week, in my opinion. And Hard to Kill is this Saturday. This Saturday is Hard to Kill, 3 days from now. Does that mean we will see the Young Bucks make the Impact return and screw over Kenny Omega? Will Jon Moxley make his return there, or make his debut there? I don't know. So we had the waiting room, and the only thing I'm going to talk about this is that we were supposed to get Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa tonight. Fightful reported that match was called off for this week because, not that Thunder Rosa had it, but she was exposed to somebody who had COVID-19, so out of caution, they scrapped that match, and that's why we have the waiting room. Of course, this was taped last week, so they knew of Thunder Rosa's exposure last week. Now, I really didn't care about the waiting room. The only thing that was anything worth talking about, Jade Cargill looks like he's on fucking steroids. Red Velvet decided to stand up for Brandy and Cody, even though I don't give a shit. And Thunder Rosa showed up on video to say that Tony Khan told her that the match between her and Britt Baker is big for AEW. So he wants to give them a big stage and some build. So that match is going to happen on, barring any more other illnesses or anything, that match is going to happen on February 3rd at Beach Break. In Miami, by the way. They're going to be in Miami in February, by the way. Which hopefully will be at the beach. That would be awesome. Just saying. Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy of Jurassic Express taking on FTR with Tully Blanchard. So, I'm just going to say this right now. Luchasaurus, not in this match, that's fine. Marco Stunt is definitely somebody that people need to give credit to. I know, watching this match, I'm sitting there, I even put it out on Minds, which is my social media platform right now that I'm on. Somewhere in the wrestling spectrum, Jim Cornette is having an aneurysm, happened to see Marco Stunt, FTR sell for Marco Stunt. I remember it was I think a year ago or so that I listened to a clip from his podcast where he was shitting on Marco Stunt because he's a small guy who, he looks like a child and he's out there and these guys are selling for him. So yeah, yeah. But Marco Stunt went out there, and him and Jungle Boy worked real well together. FTR made these guys look great. In the end, the big rig, 1, 2, 3, and that is that, on Marco Stunt for the pin and the win. Obviously, FTR should have won this match. It was great to see Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt get the shine that they could against an FTR. But of course, FTR needed to win this match. Now they need to move on and build themselves up to be fighting for the Tag Team Champions, probably going in the Revolution at the end of February. Serenity versus TakeNote with the NJ for the NWA Women's World Championship. I don't know what the deal is with Serena Deeb. She's good, but she's not great. She's decent, I don't know. TakeNote is definitely somebody I would love to have seen win this match. But, unfortunately, and no interference from Anna Jay, no interference from the Dark Order, just cool, clean slate win for the champion with her Conti went for the TKO but couldn't get it because her knee gave out. Deeb hits the detox finish to cover and get the win. So, yeah. Now, with the way things are with the NWA, COVID-19, if any wrestling company, prominent wrestling company is going to go under, it's going to be the NWA. I have seen, Serena Deeb is the NWA Women's Champion. She's contracted to AEW. Thunder Rosa probably is going to be coming to AEW working full-time soon. Let's see here. I think I read somewhere that referees are no longer in the contract. Ziggy Dice is no longer in the contract. Half the women's division is either in AEW or Impact Wrestling. They have almost nobody in their women's division under contract other than probably Thunder Rosa right now. It's just, I don't see NWA lasting to the end of 2021. I could see with them having Serenity be the NWA Women's Champion, her being contracted to AEW. I could see at Revolution, Double or Nothing, or All Out, or even Full Gear, that they do a unification match, and the winner becomes the AEW Women's Champion, and the NWA Women's Championship is retired. Because honestly, I don't even think NWA has any other women under contract besides Thunder Rosa, and she's only there for the end of this year. I don't know. It's just, I don't see how much longer they can last. So next week it's MJF and Chris Jericho versus Santana and Ortiz versus Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager. Winner is the official tag team of the Inner Circle. Santana and Ortiz better win that. Hangman Page, Colt Cabana, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds versus the Hybrid 2 and Chaos Project. Page will give his answer on joining the group after the match. This match is happening because -1's birthday is next week, and this is his birthday. So this is for his birthday. Top Flight and Matt Sydal will take on the Hardy Party. Miro gives his update on his new butler. Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero versus Layla Hirsch, and Jon Moxley will be in action. So not as stacked of a card next week as this week, but still a good show. And we go to the main event, Brian Cage versus Darby Allin with Ricky Starks and Hook. Tony Khan made it sure that not all the Team Taz could be at ringside, so Powerhouse Hobbs was sent to the back. Now, the story of this match is that there is a 120 or 200 some pound difference between Brian Cage and Darby Allin. Brian Cage is beating the bejesus out of this guy for the majority of this match. There was a point where Darby Allin does a suicide dive and gets caught into a suplex. Seamless transition, awesome move. A little bit later, they're in the ring. He's got this little man power lift above his head, tosses him from the ring all the way to where the ring announcer's table is. It explodes. He gets up, blood streaming down Darby Allin's face. So, after we come back from a commercial break, Darby Allin does fight back some. And the biggest story about this is that Darby Allin would not stay down. He's kicking out at one over and over again. It's frustrating Brian Cage. Brian Cage is so frustrated, he grabs the stairs and adjusts them so that he could do something to Darby Allin, but Darby Allin gets out of that. Kicks Brian Cage, but Brian Cage is holding on by one hand. Darby bites that hand. He falls onto the stairs. Darby goes up, hits a coffin drop. Both men are down. Darby's going up for something towards the end of the match here. Hooks up to distract the apron, distract the referee. Stark crotches Allin out. Lights go out. Sting shows up and finally does something physical. He taps the bat on Stark's back, hits him with the bat. Once, but twice, knocking him out. Cage goes up for the second rope, and Allin gets on his shoulders. He pulls him into a crucifix bomb. 1, 2, 3. Darby Allin retains the TNT Championship. Thanks in no small part to Sting, evening the odds. Post-match, Sting gets into the ring and stares down Allin. Cage heads to the back, barking at Sting. Team Taz is beyond annoyed as snow falls down from the front on them. The group heads to the back as Sting watches them, and that was that. New Year's Smash goes off the air with Sting and Darby Allin in the ring. So, that was honestly the best thing they've done with Sting since his debut. I'm glad that they actually had him actually do something. So, Darby Allin is still your TNT champion. Next week should be one hell of a show still. But I will say, again, the NWA Women's Championship, I don't know where that's going to go from here. I think it's going to be one of those things that the NWA is going to fold probably by the end of the year. And they're going to have that championship fused with the AEW Women's Championship with Shida, whoever the champion is at the time. taking the title and doing all that. So, yeah, that is New Year's Smash. Heck of a show. Was it better than night one? Honestly, yes, because guess what? There was no fucking Snoop Dogg to bring the show down. So, yeah, New Year's Smash night 2, better than night 1. Outside of that world title match last week, that world title match was already a match of the year candidate. They didn't have that on this show tonight. But overall, from start to finish, I think night 2 was better than night 1. That's just me. But let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the AEW New Year's Smash night 2. Was it better than night 1? Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Follow me and find me on Minds. Hit me at the France Club. Find me on Twitch at the France Club. Find me on Instagram at the France Club. And I'll see you guys Friday for SmackDown. And that's that. Until then, my name is the France, and I'll see you guys later.